maybe I will drop in and out because I'm just outside in a meeting right now.
Okay.
So maybe I'll do my president's report and then I'll drop off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, it's Steven. How are you tonight?
I'm good, Stephen. How are you?
Good, just crazy. Three meetings tonight, including this one. So anything you can do to help, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll put you right up there. No
Thanks,
problem.
buddy. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
No problem. We're just letting people into the meeting, and we'll start in just a few minutes. And yeah.
आपको इधर आना अच्छा आप नहीं इधर आ रहे आवाज क्यों बंद हुई
Abdul, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
You get a name?
I know.
Do you want to maybe try from this bracket?
Abdul, how are you doing?
आवाज क्यों नहीं आ रही
Hi. Sarosh, how are you?
I don't think they can hear us.
No, not yet.
No.
यहाँ पे देखो न्यू मैंने किया स्पीकर
I'm not sure if they have a microphone, but it seems pretty quiet right now. I think we can barely hear.
टेस्ट स्पीकर
तो ये वो स्पीकर कहाँ है?
ये नहीं ऑन ये टेस्ट स्पीकर मैंने किया था टेस्ट चल रहा था being joining online ये टेस्ट स्पीकर करें टेस्ट स्पीकर करें
Abdul, are you able to hear us? Abdul?
Hi, testing 1 2 3 test hello
We'll have to wait till they're set up.
नहीं किया था जी सेट था तो आवाज आ रही थी व्हाट हैपेंड पता नहीं उधर गए तो
Jonayad, we need to send a technician over there.
I know. I just called them. They're trying to figure out. I'm not sure what they're doing. I just called Sarosh to see if they can fix it.
Jasmina, do you have a screwdriver with you?
ये ब्लूटूथ पे नहीं इसका ब्लूटूथ पे नहीं है
No, just the phone and bottle of water. That's it. Sorry.
Oh, can't help us then.
तो स्पीकर भी काम ये भी नहीं माइक भी नहीं काम कर रहा तो ये कर रहा था कब किया आपने टेस्ट अभी आपके आने से पहले जवाब आया लेकिन कैसे खराब हो गया
Yeah, we could hear.
So, Jonayad, do you think we can start? And while we're starting, in the meantime, they'll get their act together over there. Do you think that's sufficient?
म्यूट कर देना
Because we want to.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. I'm just telling them to mute first. Just give 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let's go ahead.
Because we want to accommodate Stephen.
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Okay. All right, Zach. let's start.
Where is IT support? IT support? IT support? Hello.
I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
just should I start?
Hold on.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start the meeting now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. For all unit owners who have just joined, I'll just give a brief presentation on how you can participate in tonight's meeting. For all unit owners, you have joined as an attendee. What this means is your video is disabled, so we can't see you. In order for you to participate tonight and ask questions, there are a few features that you should be aware of. The first feature is the raise hand feature, which you can use for 2 purposes, one of which is to make or second a motion, and the other is to notify the host that you have a question. At the appropriate time, whether it be auditor questions or general business, we will go ahead and unmute you. I do ask that when you unmute yourself, that you state your name and unit number for the minutes. If you are dialing in by phone, you can hit *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to unmute yourself. And once again, this function can be found at the bottom or top of your screen, depending on what device you're using. The second feature that you'll be able to use is the Q&A icon. At any time within tonight's meeting, you can go ahead and type your question, and we'll go ahead and answer that at the appropriate time. I do ask once again, if you do type your question, that you state your name and unit number as well, just for the minute purposes. Thank you.
All right, Zachary, thanks very much. My name is Brian Horlick. I am the solicitor for Peel Standard Condominium Corporation 826. I've been asked to chair tonight's meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody who's taken time out of their schedule to be here with us tonight. First of all, I'm going to advise that we have your board members here. They're having a bit of technical difficulties, but that should be taken care of shortly. But in the interest of the meeting, we're going to be moving ahead. I'm going to advise and welcome all board members. So you have your president is Jonayed Khan. Jonayed, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. He's your board member and president. We also have here tonight Sarosh Iqbal, who's director and vice president. Nadeem Khan, treasurer. Daljit Singh Arora, secretary. And unfortunately, Akin Oladeji could not make it. He is in the United Kingdom. We also have here tonight your auditor, Stephen Chesney from Yale PGC. We welcome Stephen. We have the Dell property management team out in full force. So we have Jasmina here. Jasmina is the district manager, and we welcome her. For those of you who have not met Abdul Khan, he is your condominium manager. And if you don't know him, you should drop down and see him and say hello. We have the assistant property manager, Bimala Karki, and the site administrator, Atifa Siddiqui. We welcome everybody, and taking minutes today is Kim Mullins. Now, under the Condominium Act, in order to move ahead with the meeting, you need to have what's called a quorum. And a quorum is a minimum of 25% of the units in the condominium corporation. You have 458 voting units in the corporation. A quorum of 25% is at least 115. Zachary, do you have the quorum for tonight's meeting?
Yes, we have a total quorum of 130, 93 of which are through valid proxies, and 37 are through electronic registrations.
All right, so that is 130. 130. All
Yes.
right, so we've got 130 persons represented by proxy and electronic registration. Our minimum amount is 115. We have therefore exceeded the minimum quorum requirement. I'm calling this meeting to order. Under the Condominium Act, it is mandatory for a meeting of owners to send out a preliminary notice of meeting. This is a 20-day notice, which sets out the approximate date of the AGM, the approximate voting items on the agenda. There's also a provision that sets out if you wish to be considered as a candidate for election to the board, you are to provide your contact information. If you do so and you otherwise qualify, your contact information and resume will go into the meeting package. After the 20-day preliminary notice of meeting, the actual AGM package goes out, and that package has to be served at least 15 days before the date of the meeting. I have discussed with management and can advise that all of the Condominium Act requirements for time have been complied with. I'm therefore calling this meeting to order. Now, we're just going to change the order of the agenda slightly. As I said before, we have Stephen Chesney here, who is the auditor for the corporation. It's important to know that Stephen Chesney represents only and exclusively the unit owners. All of the unit owners are his clients. He does not represent the condominium corporation, the management company, the board members in their personal capacities. He only represents the unit owners, all unit owners. You have in your package the audited financial statements for the year ending February the 28th, 2022. It's with great pleasure that we welcome one of Ontario's best-known condominium auditors, Stephen Chesney. He will be presenting the audited financial statements, after which point in time we will open the floor to questions specifically on the audit. Stephen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you again this evening. And I was looking back to when the condominium started, 2008. So that makes this about the 14th annual meeting. And I'm proud to say I've been your auditor, I believe, from the beginning or very close to it. So as Brian mentioned, I represent you, and what I can do with these financial statements is put them on the screen. But before I even start, I just want to tell you, you are in terrific financial shape. And as an owner of this condo, when I'm done discussing, hopefully you get some comfort from that. So I'm going to grab the screen, sit back, relax, and let me take you through it. Your year end is February 28th, so we report to that day. Anything after that will be covered on next year's report. Here, on pages 2 and 3 is the auditor's report, and it basically explains what we do. But just to put it in simpler terms, we're not here to evaluate how the board and management performed, but what we are here to do is to let you know whether or not the financial statements are accurate. So in order to audit them, we ask for invoices and contract and whatever else we need to ensure that the numbers are accurate and everything goes well. If everything goes well, you get this, our signature and a clean opinion. And as far as I remember, since I've started there, you've always had that. So that's a great place to start. Let's look at the numbers because, as I mentioned, I thought you're in very, very good shape. Here are your assets, and they have grown to over $6 million. Most of your assets are cash, which you have a cash or bank account in your operating and reserves. So you have 2 bank accounts and or investments. Now, if they're going to invest your money, the Condo Act says go ahead and do so, but only in safe investments. Under the current law, investments that are allowed are GICs, term deposits, or a bond that's guaranteed by the government or province of Canada. You can see you had 1,856,000 in investments. You had many GICs. And for those of you who are interested in the rates, lowest rate, 1%, highest rate, 3.2%. So that's your range of rates. And if you take that 6 million and turn over the page and pay off your liabilities, which were under 200,000, what's left is what we call your fund balances. You might think about it as equity, assets less your liabilities. And you have 3 funds: operating, contingency, and reserve. Your operating and contingency funds are your day-to-day monies. These are unrestricted. We call them surplus. But there's your reserve fund is the last fund, and that is very restricted. I'm going to explain to you what's happened there. So at the end of last year, we reported that you had built up a surplus of 277,000 and you had another 394 in contingency. Let's see what happened this year. Here I present you with your revenues and expenses. And if you look at the left column, that's the budget that your board sets. The middle column are the actual audited results for tonight, and the far right are the actual results for the year before. If we study this, your board's budget, 2.77 million, they collected that from you. Of that, 608,000 was transferred to the reserve, and then you paid or accounted for all your operating costs, and you still had 257,000 left over. So what happens is that 257 gets added to the 277, and you would expect to have over 500. But what the board ended up doing is they decided, hey, we're going to transfer some of that to contingency. So they took $250,000, put it to contingency. Now, let's go back. In the end, as I mentioned, these are both part of your operating monies. So you're left with 284 in operating, 624 in contingency. That's over $900,000 of surplus. Owners of this condo, let me tell you, I represent over 600 buildings as of tonight. I've been doing it for 34 years, and this is a huge amount of surplus, and it gives you amazing flexibility because your board can use it against future budgets, or your board can put it in the reserve fund, or they can buy different things, but it's a luxury that a lot of condos don't have. So that's that. The reserve fund is the other fund, and that's for major repair and replacement of the common elements. So that's a special savings fund. And the law says that that fund always has to be adequate. So when they need to repair things such as replace the roof or the windows, it comes out of this fund. Now, in order to know how much they need, the law says the board has to hire engineers every 3 years to do a reserve fund study. Your last reserve fund study was done in February 2020. Based on that study, the engineers predicted you'd end the year about 4 million, and you have almost 5 million. So over the last 2 years, you haven't had to spend as much out of the reserve fund as they projected. Now there's 1 more year left in that study. So your new study has to be done by next February, or not even a full year, February of 23, you'll have to do a new study and all the owners will get a summary. But once again, you're in really good shape. So in summary, you have over 900,000 of surplus and almost 5 million in your reserve fund. And honestly, it is a very, very strong situation right now. And hopefully that continues. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to open the floor to questions. Just keep in mind, as an auditor, I'm not allowed to be involved in the day-to-day decisions. So if your question is about where's the board going to spend money or what projects are coming up, please hold that. Brian will give you a chance in other business. But if you have any questions for me as your auditor, this is the time to ask. Please feel free. It'll be my pleasure. So if you wanted to ask some questions, please go ahead. Brian, I expect they'll raise their hands.
Okay, this is the opportune time to ask questions with respect to the audited financial statements. Stephen is here only for this part of the agenda, so if you have questions on the audited statements, now is the time.
Once again, if you do have questions, you can raise your hand using the raise hand icon at the bottom or top of your screen, or enter questions in the Q&A. Also, those calling can use *9 to raise their hand. Brian, I see no hands raised, and I see no questions in the Q&A.
What can I say? Stephen, when you do a job that is so fantastic, no one has any questions for you. We thank you very much for being here tonight.
It's my pleasure. I just want to say to the owners, have a wonderful and safe fall and winter, and to the board and management. If you need anything, gentlemen and ladies, please reach out anytime. It's always my pleasure. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. The owners should be really happy. Have a great year, everyone. Stay safe.
Thanks,
Good night.
Stephen.
Bye, Brian. Stay safe. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, the auditor represents the interests of the owners and only the owners. Under the Condominium Act, it is therefore the obligation of the owners to appoint or reappoint the auditor every year. The appointment for the auditor will last until the end of next year's AGM. At this point in time, I'd like to ask for a motion to reappoint the auditor, and that's Stephen Chesney from Yale PGC. May I have a motion, please, to reappoint the auditor?
Once again, you can make that motion by using the raise hand feature. Jackie, can you please unmute yourself? Hi, Jackie, did you want to make that motion?
Yes,
And what is your unit number?
1209.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ed, can you please unmute yourself? Ed Perez, can you please unmute yourself? Okay, I'll go to the next individual. Aurelia, could you please unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here. Unit
Hi, did you want
17.
to sorry, go ahead.
I will second the reappointment of Chesney and Unit 1713.
Thank you very much.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor to reappoint the auditor, Stephen Chesney from Yale PGC. We have a seconder for that motion. A poll has just been launched on your screen. If you're in favor of the appointment or the reappointment of Stephen Chesney from Yale PGC, you will click yes. If you're not in favor, you will click no.
Brian, we have 18 in favor and 0 against.
All right, the motion is passed. Thank you very much. We're just going to move back one item on our agenda to the minutes for the AGM from last year, which was held on September 30th, 2021. We're going to be asking for a motion to adopt those minutes as presented unless there are any errors or omissions in the minutes. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? This is the minutes from last year's AGM of September 30th, 2021.
Brian, I see no hands raised.
No hands raised. I'd like to ask for a motion, therefore, to adopt the minutes as presented. Can someone please make the motion?
Once again, you can make that motion by raising your hand.
Motion to adopt the minutes as presented. Can someone make the motion, please?
Paran Kumar, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Can you please unmute yourself? Hi. And you want to make that motion?
Yes, please.
And what is your unit number?
1710.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor. Can someone please second the motion? Jonayat, can you second that motion for us?
Sure, I'll second it, sure.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor and a second to adopt the minutes as presented. May we send out a poll now, Zachary? There's a poll on your screen. If you're in favor of adopting the minutes as presented, you'll click yes. And if you're not in favor, you'll click no.
Brian, we have 14 in favor and 0 against.
All right, the motion is passed. We're going on to item 7, which is report from the Board of Directors. Jonah Yat, as president, will you be making that report?
Yeah, sure, I will.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. So, dear fellow homeowners, on behalf of the board and management, I'd like to welcome everyone to this annual general meeting of Grand Ovation, and especially to the new owners who are attending the AGM for the first time. We'd like to thank you for your support you have given the corporation in the past years, and we really hope that you'll continue to do so in the future as well. As you know, the AGM is the most important meeting of the corporation. The auditor just presented you the audited financial statements explaining the financial health of your condo corporation. And as you have noted that your corporation is in a very strong financial position with a healthy reserve fund of almost $5.2 million as of July 31st, 2022. Condo governance is like a mini government. Your elected board members represent you and the board of directors, along with the management team, to manage the affairs of the corporation, which includes collecting maintenance fees, maintaining the property, educating residents to follow and enforce the bylaws, rules, and regulations so that everyone enjoys a community living. The board of directors work as volunteers, putting their time and experience to ensure 2 simple mandates. First one is to protect owners of the interest and assets of the corporation and represent your voice and all the owners' voice in the decision-making process. And the secondly, build and foster a great community. Over the past years, your board has consistently tried its best to keep the condo maintenance fees within a reasonable increase by working relentlessly with dedication and sincerity to save the hardworking dollars of the owners and ensure we safeguard our most important assets and investments, which is our home. The board went to great lengths to review the annual budget last year to ensure we have the funds needed to operate the building and ensure the most effective use of the common element fees collected from the owners. You will note that it was against the norms in the market where every condo corporation raised their management fee well above 4% to adjust for the current skyrocketing inflation rate, with all the supplies to the corporation, including the contractor charges, against the services raising many folds. However, your board felt necessary to support the community during this hard time and to give relief by keeping the maintenance fee at 0% increase for the current fiscal year without compromising the quality of the work, which is the first time in the history of this corporation. And I'd like to thank the management, the board, and as well as all the residents for all the support to be able to do this amazing 0% increase for them last year. So now I'd like to highlight a few of the major projects that we have completed over the last year and some of the ongoing projects that we're working on. The first one is the ground maintenance of the interlocking with the new stones that we have just completed recently. Secondly, we've finished all the fan coils in suites as well as the common elements were serviced in order to improve the efficiency and their life cycle. Thirdly, main driveway, we had broken and uneven stones, which have been revamped and fixed, and this was done as part of the shared facilities project. Next one is underground parking ceiling at P1 level have been painted and fixed with all necessary repairs, and all the visitor parking spots have been remarked with new lining, as well as all the elevator hallway doors from P1 to P5 have been repainted. Again, this was done to make sure that we keep the uplift of the building, and this was done as part of the shared facilities project as well. Next, the compactor room. We have redone the epoxy in the compactor room because the epoxy was getting damaged over the lifetime and the use. So we have redone that, as well as the garbage bins have been repaired because there was a lot of leakage happening. So we have made sure that it's all redone so that we can have a longer lifespan. Next is we are currently working on installing a bike rack, which is very necessary because we have been hearing that a lot of bikes are getting stolen. So this is also done through the shared project, and this will be finished very shortly. Lastly, I'm very proud to share that every year we do this exercise where we go through all the contracts, existing contracts, and we review them for better pricing and terms and conditions. So overall, we have been able to successfully renegotiate and find savings of almost $40,000 over this last fiscal year. And we've renegotiated the management contract as well to get a better pricing. So overall, the corporation has saved $40,000. And this goes back to the owners in the form of that 0% increase that I mentioned earlier. Now, some of the future projects that we're currently in the plans and we're going to be working on in the next few months and next year. The first and more important one is the party room refurbishment work. As you know that our party room has been we haven't not done much of work because of all the COVID restrictions we had, but this is a major project that we're going to uptake to refurbish the party room with new furniture, new fixtures, really make it modern and make sure that again, we keep the uplift of the building. Next one is we're going to be looking at some renovation work in the billiard room and the theater room. Also, the third one I think is a very important one is we're actually going to be doing all the fob readers reinstallation in all the 4 elevators for better access control. And this is an actually ongoing project, and we're going to be finishing these very shortly. And this is going to enhance the security of our building. Lastly, we are always doing this piece, which is the overall assessment of the mechanical equipment as they're aging, right, to ensure that we have proactive maintenance in place. And this again, goes back to that healthy reserve fund that we have. We really take a proactive approach to make sure that we can tackle any kind of preventive maintenance earlier to ensure that we are not footing a huge bill in the future. Lastly, we're going to be looking at more cameras to be installed in the building to enhance the safety and security of the residents. And obviously, we're looking at all possible ways to keep our maintenance fee low. The next area, I think which is important, and I really want everyone's support here, is some of the areas of concern and cooperation that we need. So firstly, this is not something new you'd hear from us. We repeat this every year, but we really need your support in terms of residents throwing cigarette butts and other materials from their balcony, which is dropping in the lower level of balconies. And this is creating a fire hazard for everyone in the building. So we request everyone to be really take this as a serious concern and please avoid doing this. Next is improper pool usage and not following the rules. We have seen recently a lot of people are not properly following all the protocols of the pool usage, and this creates extra additional cost for us to fix the pool, repair the pool, and it adds to our maintenance fees. So please make sure that you're following all the rules and regulations of the pool usage. The next one is residents, guests visiting the building quite often and firing the fire route. So, this is something that I want to highlight, that we always see that the fire route is getting blocked by cars. And this is, again, creating a hazard, right? Any kind of emergency, if a fire truck or an emergency vehicle needs to come in, this is going to be really a big, issue for us. So we should not be parking and blocking the fire route. We need to make sure that we're dropping off people and parking by the concierge to get our parking pass and quickly move our car to the parking garage. Luggage trolley should be returned back to the concierge after using rather than leaving in the inappropriate place. It is a safety concern if we do that. So please kindly help us, help the concierge and the building staff, make sure that you're following these rules. The next couple of ones is very, very simple, basic stuff, but we need to remind ourselves is about improper disposal of garbage, which creates hygiene issues, and then noise pollution in the neighboring suites. So we really are asking your support and help here to make sure that we can create a healthy and vibrant community, and please follow and abide by these rules. Lastly, on behalf of the board of directors, I would like to thank everyone in the community for their continued support, voicing their opinions on matters and issues in the building. And we look forward to your continued engagement in the upcoming year. And we are looking forward to another successful and exciting year. As you saw that we have a very healthy position in the building. Your board and management is working hard on your behalf to ensure we have a very strong community here. And thank you very much. And I will pass the mic to Brian.
Okay, Jonia, thanks very much for your president's report. We're moving to item number 8 on the agenda, which is the nomination of candidates and election procedures. As you know, your board is composed of 5 directors. The terms on the board are what's called staggered, and by staggered, I mean that although all terms are 3 years, they don't all expire in the same year. So basically, there's usually 1 or more positions available for election on the board at every AGM. This year, there are 2 positions available on the board. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, with the preliminary notice of meeting, there was a portion of that preliminary notice that set out if you wish to be considered as a candidate for election to the board, you were to provide your name and contact information to the corporation. And then if you did so, and if you otherwise qualified, your name would go into the meeting package. There were 2 people that put their name forward, Nadeem Khan, existing board member, and Ronak Nagda. These are the 2 individuals who put their name forward. So tonight we have 2 openings on the board. We have 2 individuals who have put their name forward. Now, we're going to have what's called nominations right now. If there's anybody else other than Nadeem Khan and Ronak Nagda who wish to run for the board, you can now nominate yourself or nominate someone else. The floor is now open for nominations. Is there anybody else who would like to run for the board? There are 2 positions available.
Once again, you can let us know by using the raise hand feature in the chat.
Is there anybody else who'd like to run for the board? Now is the time. The nominations are being accepted. Again, we have Nadeem Khan and Ronak Nagda. They are putting their name forward for running for the board. There are 2 positions available. Is there anybody who'd like to run for the board other than Nadeem and Ronak?
Brian, I see no hands raised.
All right. There are 2 positions available. As what we're going to do is we're going to therefore have a motion to close our nominations. Can someone please make a motion to close the nominations? Motion to close the nominations. Can I have one individual making that motion?
Jackie, can you please unmute yourself? Did you want to make that motion?
Yes, I
Thank
do.
you. And can you just remind us what your unit number is?
1209.
Thank you very much.
All right, we've got a motion from Jackie Platek. Can someone please second the motion? This is the motion to close nominations. Joan Ayad, can you make that? Can you second that motion, please?
Sure, yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor to close nominations. It's been seconded. We're going to send out a poll now to close nominations. If you're in favor of closing nominations, you'll click yes. If you're not in favor, you will click no.
Brian, we have 15 in favor and 0 against.
All right, then the motion is passed. Thank you very much. As chair of tonight's meeting, again, I say that there are 2 positions open for election to the board. We have 2 candidates running. As chair of tonight's meeting, I hereby declare both candidates, Nadeem Khan and Ronak Nagda, elected to the board by acclamation. Thank you, gentlemen, for putting your names forward. We're going on now to item number 9, rather item 10, and 10 is what's called new business. This is an opportunity for owners to ask a question to management and or the board. We do have one question so far in the Q&A. I'm going to read it out. It's from Amit Kamath. There is a lot of trash and cigarette butts thrown above the lobby entrance from top floors. It needs to be kept clean as it looks really bad from our window. Is there any planned activity to keep it clean? So I guess the question is a maintenance question, and the other question is an educational question, an educational issue for occupants and residents who, despite, I guess, the greatest of efforts, continue to think that it's a good thing to just flick their butts off the balcony. So why don't we start from the maintenance point of view? Maybe Abdul can add something to this. Abdul, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right, so can you just assist us with the residents' question or concern regarding keeping the front of the building clean from cigarette butts that are being thrown.
Yeah, Brian, we have been trying to educate the owners, residents here that.
Abdul, can you please get closer to the mic, please?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We have been trying to educate the residents by sending them the notices, putting on the TV as well as in the elevators and the notice boards, and to requesting them to avoid throwing those things, as it is a fire hazard and also inconvenience for the other people as well. So we keep on sending this, but sometimes we are still people are still repeating those things again and again.
All right, and could you just address the concern from the owner about keeping it clean because of those issues?
Yeah, we are doing it. We are sending to all the owners and to all the residents, even to the management companies as well.
All right, okay, so you've been sending out the notices, and I guess the only point is from the owner is that, because of the behavior of some of the residents by throwing trash and other things down to the front of the building, it's looking a bit messy. And so there was a comment there was perhaps, the cleaning staff could come out there every so often and just unfortunately take the time to clean it up.
Right.
Yes, we will speak to superintendent and cleaning staff to make sure the front of the building looks really nice and clean.
Thank you,
And of
Jasmina.
course, continue sending the notices to those that live in a certain risers to remind them about the rules. Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much. This is certainly a problem that I hear from almost every single high-rise condominium. This is a problem with the behavior of certain residents. All right, we have
If I may add, Brian, one more thing.
Sure.
This is not just a common complaint with our Grand Ovation building. It's a similar one in Ultra Ovation as well. We have heard similar issues. So when I mentioned about installing cameras, one thing we're looking at, just for everyone's information, is we're trying to look at some special cameras which can zoom in, and also nighttime visual and everything. It's a bit expensive. That's why we're trying to evaluate our options. But can we install something outside where we can, have some cameras towards the balconies? Obviously, it's not going to be bulletproof, I can tell everybody. But is there something we can do additional to see if we can, find the culprits, if I may call? Because this is a super dangerous act. One cigarette butt can lit up the whole building. We have heard history, over that, and in other condo buildings where there has been fire hazard, a lot of damage has happened in the building. So we really request everyone. I know that there's not a lot of owners on the line today, but please share this concern with your neighbors. If you see somebody, please report that to the management. If you can, we even ask you take a picture of the unit so that we can find them. And the board is ready to implement a rule. Board has the power to implement a rule where we're going to fine them heavily for this. And we're really considering this seriously as a joint board between the two buildings as well.
Okay, we've got a few more questions. And one is from Amit Kamath, and that is with respect to trimming of trees, because I guess there's trees surrounding the building and some of the trees are getting very close to the windows. So if you could just make a note of that, Abdul.
Yeah, sure.
And,
actually, the landscaper has already done it, but we will be doing it now in the autumn. We will be doing it. Yeah, I will speak to the landscaper tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, and if you could just make a note of the unit to make sure that it gets done for that unit as well.
Yeah, sure.
We've got two more questions here from Aurelia Simititis. And Aurelia, if you could kindly just type in your unit number. Two questions. Where should contractors hired by owners coming into the building park?
They can park in the visitor parking at P1 level, and by contacting the concierge and letting them know that which suite they are going to visit.
Okay, so there's a process for that. Thank you, Abdul.
Yeah.
And the next question is, there has been noted a fair amount of erosion of the concrete on the balcony. When would this be inspected and or repaired?
Do we have any specific balcony? Can we have the information from that unit? And then we can visit and have a look on that. Because we never heard before this thing.
Okay,
All
so
right,
what
so
I
you
would
make a note of
suggest,
that. Jasmine, I'm sorry.
sorry, I was just about to say that I would suggest to the unit owner that noted about the balcony erosion to take some pictures and do the work order, send it directly to the management office, and we will investigate from there.
And her
Okay, thanks,
unit, I
Jasmine.
believe, is 1713.
1713. Aurelia, thank you. We have a question here from Ed Perez, Unit 403. Will there be a plan for a unit owner to install electric car chargers on their parking spots?
Yes, we are working on it, and I already received that how much load we have. We still have the capacity to do that. We have to get to know from the people who are interested to do that. So then we can put up to the board and we can go ahead.
Okay, so you're looking to see how many owners are interested in the charging of their cars
Right.
in order to go forward?
Yes.
All right, we have here Anna Gianu. She's asking for a question, so let's open the mic for Anna.
Hi, I have a question. You were talking about the cigarette butts coming from people throwing them out the balcony. What happens to people that you actually saw with your own eyes sitting on your own balcony and throwing them through the holes of your balcony? You know how the balconies have one hole to another, where you could see it going right through onto your balcony, reported it, and seeing how nothing gets done. What's the next step?
Well, if some resident is approaching to the management by specific information, then
I did. I sent you an email.
And we did go back to
No.
that. Yeah, we did send an
You
email.
told me you sent you told me that you posted emails to remind people not to throw cigarette butts. That's this is an ongoing issue, not once, not twice, every other day.
I'm just going to suggest if there's a way in which there's appropriate evidence of someone who has done this or is doing this, normally what should happen is management should send out a letter to the owner and the tenant if there's a tenant in there.
It is a tenant.
Okay, and then if it continues, you follow up with a second letter, and if it still continues, then it's appropriate to send the file to the solicitor's office. We would send out a compliance letter, and we would charge the cost back of that letter to the owner. Okay, that's the way it works. And I will tell you this as a lawyer, when someone gets a letter and there's an appropriate indemnification clause in your condominium documents, which you have, and the owner has to pay out of his or her pocket for the legal costs, they get quite upset with their tenants. So I think that's really the steps that need to get done.
Okay.
All right.
Ken, are
Anna,
you
thanks for
the
bringing that up.
president? Sorry, I have a question. Ken, are you the president of the board?
Yes.
I just have, you are, okay. That's fine. Okay.
Okay.
I
Anna,
had no
thanks a
idea.
lot.
I'm just
Do we
trying to
have your
clarify.
suite number for the minutes? Do we have Anna's suite number for the minutes?
Yeah.
Yes, all right.
Let me. Okay.
All right, we have two further questions. So Aurelia is back. Zemaitis, if we can open the mic for her.
Yes, I just stated that I previously sent photos and an email to the property management office and received no response. So that was in July. So my question is, who specifically do I send it to? And what is their email address? So who will, address this further and take it to the board and so on? I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Abdul,
So
where is the best place for a resident who has an issue? What is the best email address?
Yeah, they can send the email to me, and my name is Abdul, and my email address is grandultra, one word, .pm@delcondo.com.
So it's grandultra.pm at
delcondo.com.
and
single L in the Del, DEL.
DEL. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
okay, that's what I did.
If you did it, please follow it up.
Aurelia, what's your unit number? Like, if you can, we'll follow up with the management office to make sure this is looked into.
Her unit number was 1713.
1713. Okay.
Okay.
Amit Kamat is on. Can we please unmute Amit?
Hi. So basically, I'm from Unit 314, and I had raised the question of like trash and cigarette butts that has been thrown on the lobby entrance. So basically, our unit is in front of Burnham Top Road. So I can see the lobby floor since we are on lower floors. And what happens is like when all the trash has been thrown, on top of it, there's no way like anyone cleans it up, right? Because it's not accessible through window. And if we notice on the entrance lobby, it has like all small pebbles on top of it. So it's really unpleasant to look every day from my window. So I had raised it once and like it got it cleaned after a few weeks, but that keeps on happening. So I don't know, like, how would you do that fix? Like if you would having a like regular maintenance schedule for that, but yeah, it needs to be done. There's a lot of garbage and trash that has been thrown on the top of the lobby entrance.
Hi, Amit. Are you talking about the road towards the Bunham Top? The sidewalk you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about the sidewalk. The main entrance that we enter through, right? So there's a ceiling that you see.
There's
But
an
if you,
overhang.
yeah. So from our house, when you look out of the window, you can see that. Okay, like I can send you those pictures, but yeah,
Yeah,
the
I will
garbage
appreciate
gets
that.
collected. Yeah,
I will
I'll
appreciate
send
if you
across.
send me the photos and I will take care of that. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, Amit, send Abdul the photos.
All
Yeah,
right.
sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Jasmina, you on the job here? Gotta help Amit. All right.
Brian, we have a question in the Q&A.
All right. Thanks, Zachary. Question from Vijayet Saste. The balcony gets dirty due to too many pigeons coming and is unhygienic. We are not allowed to wash the balcony floor, so it becomes very difficult to get the floor clean. Is there any solution for this? Net installation to keep the birds away? Question. So there's a pigeon issue there, as a pigeon issue in many high rises. So the question is, how can a resident clean the balcony?
Well, I think that there are a couple of devices available on the Google now, which resident can place in their balcony to keep the pigeons away. Because the other thing is we have to put the screen there. Screen is not allowed because it will create a not a good impression to the people from outside. The static issue will be there.
So Abdul, do you know offhand any type of things that you've seen with respect to how to clean this balcony?
Regarding the cleaning, they can only broom it or mop it. The cleaning will create a problem because it will go down and it will create a mess to the other balconies as well.
So they can take a damp mop and mop it, as you're saying.
Mop and broom, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And Vijayet, if you could please type your suite number into the Q&A for the minutes. Any further questions?
I looked it up. I
Yes,
believe
see
it's
there's a few more here.
2714.
One here. Okay. Wenrui Kayo, sorry being late joining the meeting. If this is answered, please ignore. With respect to garage door mesh, I appreciate management did repair on that. It improves a lot, but still quite noisy. Could we get warranty to fix that again? That's suite 211, Ray.
We just updated the new grate there last week, and I think the situation has improved and we didn't receive any complaint after that.
All right, so you're saying last week there was a repair?
Yeah, no, we have completely changed. This will be the new one.
Or a replacement. So there was a replacement last week, Ray.
Yeah.
So if there's still noise, speak to the manager.
Okay.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
All right. So Ray is saying it's still noisy. So again, Ray, please speak to the manager because the matter was replaced, should be working privately. Any further questions before we wrap up tonight's meeting?
Brian, I see no hands raised, but we do have a question in the Q&A or a comment.
Okay, yes, there's a comment here from Anit Kamath. I have noticed that security asks for ID cards like driver's license for carts and trolleys, which is an identity issue. Okay, so I'll just say, Amit, it could be an identity issue, but the corporation needs to make sure that whoever is taking these things is going to bring them back in the same condition. So my suggestion, and you may not like the suggestion, is if someone's not prepared to provide their identity, they shouldn't be using the carts and the trolley. All right.
Yeah, Brian, I noticed in the past that people have been taking the carts but not returning back to the security. Yeah, rather they were leaving on the driveways and the areas which was very dangerous and safety issue for the other people. So that's why we put some yardstick there so that we should be able to control the situation and people should come back. Like the people go for the shopping in the Walmart and others, and they put the coin there and they get the card back and get the coin.
Exactly. So in other words, without putting inside some type of motivating factor, there's a problem with the returning of the carts. So this is something that I don't think the corporation wants to spend the money with, putting on a system where everybody has to pay to use the cart and then get the money back. It's better just to show the ID, get the cart and bring it back. All right. Any further questions before we wrap up?
Brian, we have no hands raised. There's just one more question just came into the Q&A.
All right. Anna Gianu, are we able to leave an envelope at security desk to pick up by family members? So what is the policy with respect to the reception area?
Well, we have been accommodating the people, but sometimes there is the issue that some people don't show up and the envelope keeps lying there. And if it is some precious things inside, then the corporation will be held responsible for that in case it is lost and the people are not coming back to pick it up.
So is the policy to take envelopes or not?
Usually no.
Usually no. Okay, that's the reason. All right. Any further questions?
Brian, I see no hands raised and no questions in the Q&A.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the end of our agenda. I want to thank all of the unit owners for taking the time out of their schedules to attend tonight's important meeting. I want to thank all board members who are here tonight. I want to congratulate Nadeem Khan and Ronak Nagda for their successful election/re-election. I would like to thank Dell Property Management for being here, coming out tonight in full force. Zachary Dillon from HLD Meetings, thank you for your time. Kim Mullins, thank you for taking the minutes. On behalf of the Condominium Corporation, I'd like to advise that all business has now been completed at our annual general meeting. As such, I therefore, as chair, declare the meeting is terminated. I wish everybody lots of success in the coming year and hope one day, maybe soon, we'll have either a virtual meeting again, or we'll have a hybrid meeting, which is a combination of in-person or virtual. On behalf of all the lawyers here at Horlick Levitt Delela, I wish you all a very good night and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brian.
Good night.